Can you feel it? Clash Royale League World Finals is almost here, and so we are continuing to look at the matchups these players will face in the first round and beyond of the biggest event of the season, of the year. Hi, I'm richslaton, caster for Clash Royale League, and this is the final video where we break down the first couple of rounds of matchups and predictions here for our Clash Royale League bracket. Just as a quick refresher, I'm doing this in little groups of 4 because the players in matches 7 and 8, which we're looking at today, the winners of those 2 matches will end up playing each other in the upper bracket of round 2, and the losers of those 2 matches will play each other in the lower bracket round 1 for an elimination match. So one of these 4 players is going home on day number 1, and that's absolutely insane because the 4 players in these final 2 matches, match 7, Pedro and Ruben, match 8, Samuel Bassotto and Morten. One of those 4 players will not be here after day number 1, which is absolute insanity. Let's go ahead and break down these matches. Match number 7 between Pedro and Ruben is absolute insanity because you have 2 players who are teammates, and so both of them going in without the top coach of Shot Kalalis, that's Jebus. Pedro is a phenomenal player who's had one of the best years of anybody, and he was the guy that Mohamed Light said was the most dangerous person to face for him in this competition. Pedro was really great on the front end of the year, has killed it on ranked, has killed it in competitive gameplay, but hasn't been as good in the back end of the year. He also plays really well when he has a coach with him, but when he's not being coached in situations so far this year where Jebus wasn't working with him, where he's had to pick on his own, hasn't been as consistent. And that's critical here because, again, Ruben and Pedro are both Shot Kalalis, so Jebus not picking for either of them, not coaching either of them, and that means that you're playing one-on-one picking on your own. And Ruben is so experienced in that. Ruben tends to pick on his own most of the time when he's playing competitive. You put that in, mix that in with Pedro kind of being on a bit of a downswing so far at this stage of the year, and Ruben looking like he's peaking right now, looking like he's getting into possibly his best form. And while if you asked me a few months ago to pick this matchup, I would have said Pedro, no questions. Now I'm leaning towards Ruben and have to pick Ruben in round number 1. His live event experience, his world championship experience, his confidence, his ability to pick on his own, I think carries him past Pedro here in our first round matchup. Match number 8 is complete insanity. It should be a world championship matchup. In fact, it has been nearly a world championship matchup with how crazy last year went for Clash Royale League. Sam and Morten, Samuel Bassotto and Morten going head-to-head in round number 1 is bonkers. Samuel Bassotto, the only guy to really make Mohamed Light look bad this year. He won his golden ticket straight up by beating Mohamed Light not once, but twice during that monthly final. Sam got 3rd last year at World Finals and wasn't even necessarily as dedicated as he is this year. That should be absolutely devastatingly frightening to everyone. Samuel Bassotto should go very, very far in this competition. But I am going to say it's going to be a lower bracket run because you know I'm not picking against Morten in round number 1. Morten would be on everyone's top 3 all-time list and really should be on everyone's top 5 all-time list. The only knock on him is that lack of a number 1. Let's put it in context. In 2018, Morten carried SK Gaming all the way to the EU finals for CRL and just didn't have the squad behind him to beat Team Queso. He could have gone to World Finals in Season 1. In 2019, won CRL West for one of the seasons, went to World Finals, and of course there's this game that happened there where he lost by 1 HP to Surgical Goblin, and then Team Liquid went on to win the World Finals. He would have won by that. I probably would have become world champion in 2019 if it were not for that 1 HP. 2020, this was, of course, the Morten the SK Gaming versus Team Queso finals, where Team Queso just battled back and ended up kind of breaking the hearts of SK fans by winning that World Finals, Morten taking 2nd place there. And then, of course, a great performance in CRL 2021. And then last year, CRL 2022, making it to the Grand Final yet again and losing to Mohamed Light in the bracket reset of our Grand Final. Everyone looks at this as a knock on Morten. I look at this as proof of Morten's greatness. He's the most consistent player in Clash Royale League history. Now, does he need to be able to break past that to get that world championship? Absolutely. But Morten has more live event experience than anybody, more world championship experience than anybody who's on that stage, and so I'm picking him against Samuel Bassotto in that first round for that exact reason. So now Pedro and Samuel both find themselves down on the lower bracket in round number 1, and I really can't believe I'm saying this, but I have to pick one of these 4 players to get first rounded, so it's got to be Pedro getting first rounded here. I think Samuel Bassotto is going to make a deep run, at minimum into the top 6 of this competition. I think he starts it here against Pedro in this lower bracket matchup. Pedro is amazing. Samuel is kind of a monster. Samuel's kind of is just a wild man, and I think that Pedro is going to be reeling from his loss to Ruben, and I think that Samuel will take advantage of that one here. Now, again, Pedro might have a coach with him, so that could be a big shift. This might be like razor thin. This might be 51-49 in this matchup, but I'm going to have Samuel going through, where he'll jump into the lower bracket and face, from my predictions, face Faust in that lower bracket round number 2, where he probably should win and continue on what I think will be a deep lower bracket run. Back to our upper bracket. This is really fun because we get a rematch of our 2020 World Finals with Ruben and Morten in the upper bracket round number 2. In this one, I do think that Morten is going to come in hot with Julesy as his coach. They're going to outpick Ruben, who, while he is used to playing by himself, he does tend to pick pretty predictably. And I think that when you get into Game 2 and Game 3, Morten and Jules will have a better game plan to beat Ruben in a full best of 3 here. So I'm going to pick Morten to go on, where he will go to the upper bracket semifinals and face Vitor, which will be a really fun matchup. And that means Ruben dropping down to our lower bracket to a matchup against Air Surfer, which is insanely unpredictable, and I can't wait for it to happen. And that's why I'm getting on a plane to fly to Helsinki today. I am going. You're seeing this video, and it's pretty much World Finals time. I'm recording this before I leave home. I'm at my set at home. So I am so pumped for this. I hope you're pumped for this as well. Tune in. It's going to be on the official Clash Royale Esports YouTube page, November 24th to 26th. I'll be there with Andrew Guy, Juicy J, Joshua AC Sharon to bring you all the action. And man, I love doing this. It's so darn cool. And I can make all these predictions, but we have to actually watch and see what happens. So tune in. As always, be excellent to each other and party on, dude.